God, that music. Right, good afternoon. Good afternoon, one and all. Welcome to the live non-farm payroll. God, I've been doing this for about 15 years now. It's good to be here. Good to be here. Normally we do on a Friday. Non-farm payroll is usually the first Friday of the calendar month. But because tomorrow is the 4th of July, we will be it's doing it a day early, so it's the Thursday. I think a couple of times in the past we've done it on a Thursday, but it's usually the first Friday of the month. Welcome to everyone. Welcome if this is your first time joining me here on this live event. I just going to run through this very quickly. Disclaimer, blah blah blah, education purposes only, not investment advice. Do not trade what I am suggesting. Do not trade my biases. Do not get under the impression that what I'm going to do is change your life and make you lots of money today. That unfortunately is not happening. Trading is all about long term, not just the odd trade here and there. One of the reasons why I don't really believe in trade signals, but there you go. That's a different story. So read the disclaimer. Investment advice it is not. If you need to speak to a financial advisor, do so. Right, that's got that out of the way. Right, so this non-farm payroll, as always, we have a prize giveaway. Okay, so you're all invited to get involved. Let me briefly tell you how it works, and then we can get on discussing the actual event itself. Basically, we're giving away $62,500 in assessment accounts today in 5 different prizes. Okay, so what you need to do is basically register your best guess for the non-farm payroll number. Now, you can see here on the screen, the general consensus is, with all the economists, an estimation of 111,000. Okay, that's what the markets are going for. So get your guess in. We'll drop the form here in the chat now. You need to put in your guess, and you need to put in of course, your email. Now, there's no point putting in fake emails because obviously if you win, then you won't be able to be contacted. And of course, that's not going to be worthwhile to anyone. So put in your guess in there as well. Now, I can tell you by looking at the market estimates, because these numbers are never normally bang on. I can tell you the market estimates are basically ranging from about 75,000 I've seen up to, I think JP Morgan's 140,000. Okay, so it really is quite a big sort of spread of what is to be expected. So pick your number. The nearest two to the actual number will win a $12,500 assessment account absolutely free. Okay, so lots to go for there. No point putting your estimate here on the chat because it won't be included in the competition. And now the other thing we're doing this month for the first time is we're also giving away 2 extra accounts, which will be randomly selected from all the participants that have put in their best guess. Okay, so even if you don't get near, just by entering, you've got a chance of winning a $12,500 assessment account absolutely free, and that goes to 2 lucky winners as well. So there you are. Absolutely every reason to get involved. And the 5th prize today will go to one that is the most active in the chat, right? And when I'm saying talk about active in the chat, I'm not talking about counting 1 to 150 over 150 posts. I'm talking about getting involved in general market discussions and so forth. We'd like to see an interactive chat going on. Anything that's market related, of course, that's what it will be gauged on. And the decision of my back office team is final on all these competitions. Okay, so no debating. Say I was closer and what have you. The decision is final. My back office team are going to give me the names of the winners as they are evolving after the announcement at the bottom of the hour, which is about 25 minutes from now. Okay, right. So who have we got in here today? Let's have a look. We've got Divi Anish, good to see you here. We've got Chicken Curry. Where's my 12.5K account? I don't know what you mean by that. Bo, I can't predict. I don't know why you can't predict Chicken Curry. That's entirely why I got always. It's only a bit of fun. So don't worry about that. Sashit, you put in a guess there on the chat. That's not going to be included. 108,000. Of course, if we have duplicates of the same number, then it's the first person to get that in at that number. Okay, so if we have 4 people all getting exactly right, it's going to be the first 2. But again, the decision is final that my team behind the scenes here are working on. So there you go. MK3, you said you've given a thumbs up to the stream. Live stream. Thanks for that. It does help, actually. We're trying to grow the channel here, trying to grow the popularity of these live streams that we're doing periodically throughout the trading week on key events with giveaways as well. So if you like and you subscribe to the channel, then of course it's you'll be notified the moment we do go live, or notified of any other developments here on the channel, and also see other great content that we are putting out on the channel, which is, of course, not just me. You've got Simon, the CEO, and the team as well, also putting up comments and podcasts and so forth. So, yeah, make sure you subscribe to the channel and hit that notification bell thing that all the YouTubers just talk about. Good afternoon. Good afternoon, Nelson. Good afternoon, Divani Kali. Good afternoon to you. Good afternoon to Aaron. Manoj calls me, hey, legend. There you are, legend. I feel like a legend. I guess I'm old enough to be a legend. Ola, hello to you. Good to see you. Thank you for showing up. And sorry if I've missed anyone out. Now, as always, I say this is an interactive session, so do get involved. If you want me to look at anything in particular, just let me know when we get onto the charts, and we'll do some analysis on that. Remember, I'm, as much as I trade these, as much as I like these fundamentals, I tend to, my trading tends to be, or is in fact, certainly on intraday day trading, is more focused on the technicals, on the charts, more so than the fundamentals. Fundamentals, in fact, I was chatting to someone yesterday who's trying to get more involved in the fundamental trading, and I basically said why, because often what you see on the fundamentals doesn't necessarily play out in the short-term charts, and they might do in the long-term charts, but you only have to speak to 5 top economists from all the top banks, and they don't all necessarily agree with each other. So there you are. Manjor's having problems logging in. I'm sure if you keep trying, you'll get in. There you are. There you go. Yes. It's just what you say here. You can predict the NFP if you've been analysing the job markets. You say that, but there are much more qualified people out there, Stephen, that are. Good afternoon, sir. Good afternoon to you as well. There's much more qualified people out there. Goldman Sachs, JP Morgan's, all the central bank, all the big sort of banks and what have you. They've got big teams of economists, and they can't predict it. So why can we predict it? It's a pure guess. MK3 has just put in 112,000 in the chat. It's not going to count unless you get it on the form. So make sure you get it on the form. So the fundamentals don't necessarily always play out in the markets. I will tell you in a moment what I think is going to happen, but that doesn't necessarily mean it is going to happen. Again, I don't know if people are listening to me, but some chats are coming in with the read. It's not going to get included unless you put it on the form. Chicken curry 110 doesn't count. All these guesses do not count that are coming in on the chat. Just to let you know. All right, so non-farm payroll. What is non-farm payroll? Very briefly, we've got 20 minutes to go. Oops, Daisy, my sport's just gone off on the other screen. So basically non-farm payroll is the job numbers. How many jobs have been created in the US economy in the last month? So if it comes in line at 111,000, then of course that means 111,000 people have found work in the last month. And why is it important? Well, because the central banks around the world, the central bank in the US called the Fed, FOMC, they meet and they decide what's going on with interest rates. And they have basically two mandates that they need to focus on in setting their interest rate policy. One is inflation, and the other is the jobs market. So they have a mandate to get inflation to be in and around 2%. Okay, so they target 2%. Inflation at the moment is about 4.2% in the US. And they've also got a mandate to have full employment. Okay, and at the moment, you see unemployment is actually running around 4.2%. Okay, so 4.2%. So why is it important? Because, of course, if more people have work, it basically means more people are spending money. And then more people are spending money, it basically means inflation goes up. It also means that they can demand higher wages to employers because if their boss doesn't pay them, they can go and get a job elsewhere. So the more people that are working, the more upward pressure on inflation. That basically means that the Fed are less inclined to cut interest rates and maybe inclined to raise interest rates. And everything around an economy revolves around what the cost of borrowing is, interest rates on their bank loans and so forth. So that is why. Now I'll talk about this week's number in a moment. But just go through this data. 111,000 is expected, which is a contraction from 139,000 from last month. You also had some contraction of the weekly ADP numbers yesterday, and the numbers of employment, the non-farm payroll, has been coming down over recent months. That basically means the economy is not as buoyant as you may think. Basically means that the economy is not necessarily motoring on ahead. Okay, so that has an indication that maybe the Fed should be cutting interest rates. And if they cut interest rates, then of course the US dollar, any currency, should normally go in the direction of where the interest rates are going. One of the reasons maybe why the dollar at the moment is on a 3.5-year low against all the other currencies, basically because they're expecting interest rate cuts to kick off in the US sooner rather than later. We're going for average earnings, up 0.3, so it's slightly lower. So inflationary down pressure, and year on year at 3.7% is what they are going for. Okay, unemployment rate is looking to tick up a little bit. Okay, now I said a moment ago about the data, and and why it doesn't always reflect what's going on in the world. And this has got me going. I wrote an article this week for one of our publications, one of our emails. And it was basically about the data and how it sometimes doesn't align. And here's just my personal view. Okay. At the moment, you've got global tensions, Middle East global tensions. You've got the US dropping bombs in Iran and so forth. You've got wars in Ukraine, Russia. You got spiraling deficits in the US. You've got a budget bill going through at the moment, going through the Senate. I don't know if it's gone through the Senate. I think today is a crucial day on it. You've got you've got massive debts out there already, and you've got a budget bill, or the beautiful bill, I think Trump's calling it, beautiful bill, which is set to add sort of like $3 trillion or so to the national debt. You've got global uncertainty with tariffs. Vietnam have done some deal, and they're delighted because they've got 20%. Only 20%. God, they'd have been beside themselves a couple of years ago. 20% tariffs. They're only happy because it was up at 40%. But you've got global tariff issues, global uncertainty when it comes to trade. Japan, very far from doing deals at the moment. So we're seeing it all over the place. So global uncertainty. And look at the stock market. Look at the S&P 500. The S&P 500, excuse me, might as well get my chart up here. S&P 500 is at all-time highs. Today, whatever it is today, is the 3rd of July, 2025. The S&P has never been higher than it is at this moment in time. I mean, that is absolutely bonkers. You tell me that is knocking in, that is a reflection of what's going on in the economy in the world, and it isn't. It's absolutely not what's happening. But nonetheless, the stock market is absolutely flying. It's never been higher. The S&P 500 is showing 6233. Fundamentals will tell you to sell this. In fact, and here's my view, here's my view on the data that will be coming out very soon. There's only a view, and I'm not going to be trading this on my accounts, but I'll tell you what I think. I think we are seeing a contraction of the economy. I think we are seeing a contraction, I should say, of the employment and the workforce. And I think that is more likely to come in below 111,000, possibly in at around, this is my guess, around 80,000. And if that was to happen, or if we come in below 100,000, as I'm expecting we will, pure guess, then this stock market is going to find a top, a momentarily top, which maybe you buy into because it's still fundamentally, well, I say fundamentally, still technically a very, very bullish market. We've had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. This is the 10th day on the bounce now with all these green candles that the stock market has been trading higher. But a number below 100,000 today, I think is going to see a potential correction. And of course, if you're trading the technicals, then you will take that back to where the previous level of structure was, which comes in at around the 6140 level. So basically in and around that zone. So a weak number, I wouldn't be surprised to see the stock markets come under pressure and challenge that level, where again, you may see some buyers coming in. If anyone follows my strategies that I trade and that I teach, the boomerang, that will have you potentially looking for a support zone here for trend continuation higher. Because this is just one data point, okay, one read. The Fed don't make their decisions on the back of one rate move or one non-farm payroll announcement. But so the major trend that's getting up here, what we had about a 30% bounce since Liberation Day, 29.7% bounce since Liberation Day. What's been getting up here isn't going to change on one piece of data. So buying into this stock market for me is the only way, but I'm waiting for a weak number to see a potential pullback. If the number comes in very strong, well, it's inflationary, but it's also meaning that maybe the economy is not actually contracting as much. You may see the stock market's pushing on, but where would it push to? Well, I think that's, picking a target when you're up at these blue sky levels where you've never been before is really, really difficult. In fact, I wouldn't have a clue where to pick it. What I will say is that a pullback, if it happens to happen from the recent high, with 100% extension of the recent high. So, for example, we're here now at the moment. If we were to pull back to that zone where you buy it, that will be your target for the next level of a potential pullback, just over 6,300. All right, so don't forget, you've got about 10 minutes to get your guesses in. Get your guesses in for the non-farm payroll. And, of course, you've also got 2 chances out of the random raffle. What about Bitcoin? I'll come to Bitcoin in a second. I just want to finish off before I get on to more charting, what the Fed are looking at. Okay, so this is something I talk about each and every non-farm payroll. It's a CME Fed Watch tool. I'm not affiliated to the CME at all. We are not affiliated to the CME here at FTP, but it is a tool that I think if you're interested in the fundamentals, you should be aware of. It basically is the Fed fund futures rate on the futures market, okay, on the swap market. And how to read this, because I do like to give a bit of education on these events. So no, it's a bit of fun, but we do like to do a little bit of teaching. Current rate of interest rates in the US is 4.25 to 4.5%. Okay. So the next meeting, follow my crosshairs, follow my mouse, is on the 30th of July, which is about 3-4 weeks away almost, end of the month. This rate here, 4.25, where we are at the moment, there's a 75% chance that we are still going to be there. But this has now got a 25% chance that they will cut rates. Okay, so this will change today. If I remember, someone might remind me, if we look at this number after the announcement, well, I could basically have a guess of where it will be once I see the announcement.
In 10 minutes time now,
is the
bottom of the hour, do you see the release of the US employment situation report for the month of June? So headline non-farm payroll forecast 106K,
Oh, they're going for 106,000 now. So the consensus is coming down even from 111,000 out of interest. No one could predict. It's a guess, MK. 25% is a lot, yeah. So we are going to see this move again. If it is a very low number, if it's below 100,000, if it comes in around 380, if it comes in around 80,000, the call will be for the Fed to start moving interest rates quicker. And this means that this will increase maybe up to 30 or 35, depending on the number. If it comes in very low, even Powell said at the meeting a couple of days ago that they would be prepared to move interest rates sooner rather than later if they need be. So there you have it. Right. So what else am I looking at? Okay, let's have a look here at, I think, I tell you what I want to look at is a pound against the dollar. Okay, pound against dollar. Again, pound. Well, look, the US dollar has been under big pressure. Okay, for the last, what you can see here just on this daily chart, pound against the dollar since February of this year is, the dollar has declined 14%. 14% in a space of the first half of the year. It's a massive move for one of the world's number one currency. Big move. Excuse me. All right. So there you are. So so at the moment the dollar is exceptionally weak, maybe in the anticipation of rate cuts. Pound has been particularly strong. Pound has been very strong. We've just had this pullback. Okay, for those of you that follow my boomerang trend following strategy, which you sort of might get the window if you watch it here. Basically, we normally do this you normally would pick the trend on the higher time frame chart. So you pick the trend here on the daily, but if you go down to the 4-hour chart, you look for entries on the lower time frame charts, pulling back into the previous sort of break of structure. Well, you've had this clear structural level of resistance, structural level of resistance being bouncing off it there. Then we broke through back to retest. This level should be on every technical trader's chart that's trading the pound. It's as simple as that. If you're trading the pound, this level here around 136 would have been on your charts. It should be. You do this on a Sunday before the markets kick off, so you've not got this sort of forward bias. When you see this test of that zone, because we never know, right? We never know if if it's just us looking at these charts, or is there all big money down here? Is there big sort of institution money down here? We don't know that. So we would be looking, for price action to confirm this level if we are going to support it or not. When you see this type of price action in there with a really sort of low wicked candle closing above, that is a good indication. And in fact, there's not much left to the imagination in terms of where you take the trade. You take the trade on the retest. Your stop's going to be below the swing low that led to that, which would basically be down there. This is on the lower time frame chart. But your stops to get in closer would be below this pin. Stops from pin, and I'm not just doing 2 pips below. The trade needs to be wrong to get out of this trade. You don't want to place your stops where you think you're going to get stopped out. You place the trade stop where, if it hits, the premise of the trade is over, move on to the next one. Well, you place that well below there, maybe 10, 15 pips below that pin, with a retarget. So you've got a decent risk reward trade on that with potentials to move up. I don't know what the numbers are going to do, but that would be a perfect trade setup for me. Here we go. What's that? Emu taking notes. Good. Hands yellow, red heart. Learning trading plus yellow trade. Yeah, that's what that's all about. It is a huge wick. Absolutely. So looking at the pound against the US dollar for potential dollar weakness, which basically means you'd get into that trade on the pullback. Okay, you got 5 minutes to get your guesses in. 5 minutes to get going.
With a range of 160k to 70.
Yeah, manage positions well. I totally agree with that, Nelson. Just looking at the chat now. Manage your position well. Massive volatility coming in. Yeah, I don't encourage anyone to trade over the news. You know, placing a trade now ahead of the news event, quite frankly, is a gamble. You know, we really can go either way. And in fact, a lot of we don't encourage trading news events. Big news events, because it is nothing more than a gamble, quite frankly. You know, I like to see personally the way I used to trade the non-farm payroll many years ago when I was actively trading. I mean, I'm not so actively trading these days. To answer Chicken's question, I don't actually trade too much in the markets these days. I'm just too busy. You know, when you're trading, you've got to be fully focused, and I'm obviously doing so much other stuff that I'm not actively trading. But I don't see a reason why you want to trade your own money. You trade prop money. You trade prop money because the very reason why you trade prop money is, of course, you don't need to, have such a huge, percentage win. Back in the old days when I was only trading my own account from sort of 2000 and all my life, but on the screen since about 2005, I was trading my own funds, and I had a reasonable amount of funds, obviously from my days in the city, but but now you don't need to make huge gains. You make 3 or 4% a month on a 100k account or 200k account, where you're talking about 6 to 8k income a month. So you need smaller gains on a bigger account rather than big gains on a small account. So it stands to reason. I mean, I can't quite understand why people would still think about trading their own money. You've got to pick the right prop firm, of course, which I think we are, and you've got every opportunity to become a full-time trader. I love trading. I love gambling as well. Yeah, I love having a 50 quid on £50 on a football game or something like that. But I'm not expecting to give up my day job by gambling on the football on a Saturday afternoon. But it's a bit of fun. Unfortunately, it's one of the reasons why we've had so many people lose in the markets, because they end up just gambling, and you know what happens to gamblers most of the time. Manju, I was going to talk about Bitcoin. I was going to leave it to after the NFP, and then we'll talk about Bitcoin. We will have a bit of time there. After the announcements, we'll go through a few more charts and so forth. Yes, it is. It is a game changer. All right, you got about 2 minutes to go. Let me just put up the estimations again of what we are expecting. So this is what the markets are expecting. It's actually down at 106,000 now. Oh, who cares about 5,000? Unemployment rate is 4.3, and non-farm payroll. The average earnings is expected to come in at up 0.3 as well. So these are not the results; these are just the expectations. We'll see the results in a couple of minutes' time. Now, just a bit of housekeeping. You can hear it bellow out through my live squawk. So this is a live squawk that I subscribe to, I pay for, and it's instant. But because you're listening to me via the YouTube internet thing, it's going to be delayed. So whatever you hear coming out of the screen, out of the squawk, or whatever you hear coming out of my voice, it's maybe a few seconds delayed, depending on, of course, where you are in the world. Oil.
I'll lead with headline non-farm payrolls.
Okay, headline non-farm payrolls is going to come out first. So my guess, 89,000. Could be totally wrong. It was last month, if you remember. I was totally wrong last month. Completely the wrong direction. 89,000. And once we get the answers or the results from the back office team, we'll let you know who the winners are, and I'll get them all typed in as well. So let's have a look. Just a couple of seconds. Excuse me. Okay, I've got about 20 seconds to go on that. Don't forget, the Black Sun went in at 77. Wow. No, Mac, that won't count. Here we go. Let's just have a look at the S&Ps, see what happens.
147k,
147
higher than forecast.
Wow, that's the top end of the range.
4 spot 1%, 4 spot 1%, lower than forecast, 4 spot 3%. US trade balance -71.5 billion, -71.5 billion.
So that's, as I said, I mean, I got it wrong on the call, but as I said, very strong number. So the S&P 500 now is just going to motor on. I'm not sure if we had any winners there, and I'm going to get the answers very soon. But 147, IBM 89,000.
Lower than forecast, 34.3. Average earnings month over month at 0.2%.
Average earnings are lower. It is crazy number.
-7K.
What is happening to the what's happening to the dollar? When you're looking at the dollar, really, the best thing to do is look at the euro dollar. So the dollar is getting strong. Dollar's getting strong on the back of, why is it getting strong? Well, it's getting strong because the Fed are less inclined to have to move interest rates sooner rather than later, although inflation means more under control. I mean, they're in a bit of a quandary, aren't they? But dollar's getting stronger at the moment, as you can see. Bond yields are going up. Bond yields are trading higher. Dollar's getting higher. S&P 500. NASDAQ, I would think, is must be trading higher as well. Let's have a look at the NAS. Must be flying higher. NAS is coming into all-time highs as well. Right, let's have a look. Do we have any nearest the pins? Gold dumping. Is gold dumping? Gold dumping has got dollar goes higher. Wouldn't surprise me. Well, gold dumping. That's off whatever it is. Oh, big strong number. Strong number. I think, you know, again, I don't like using that word thinking when I'm coming to into trading, but I'm thinking, you know, this US dollar that's been in a steady decline, you know, 13.5% this month, this year, 3.5-year low. You know, is the dollar going to be about to turn around and start getting a bit of a bid? Well, possibly so. Possibly so. Looking maybe potentially, if you're trading the fundamentals, not on the back of that number only, but again, if you, I mean, if you're trading boomerang reversals, folks, and some of my followers are, you're short pound dollar on the reversal. She hits the high, pulls back, failed to take that high out. That should break a structure. On the 4-hour chart, that's your stop. That's the boomerang reversal. If anyone trades it, it is coming into a support zone here at the moment. It is coming into a support zone. Really? Just looking at the Fed Watch tool here, see if we've got any changes going on. I haven't updated it yet. A couple of delays on that. News trading comes a lot with anxiety. It does, doesn't it? I think, you know, the way I like to use the fundamentals is have a sort of overriding opinion. I mean, if you've only been selling the dollar in the last 6 months, you know, if you've only been selling the dollar, you would have been, you know, you would have been making money. But if your technicals align with the fundamentals, even better. That's what we call a grade A trader, grade A setup. Okay, do we have any winners? Let's have a look here. Any winners on the NFP coming up in a second? Unless I've lost connection. Should be coming up in a second. Crazy moves. Right, can anyone in the chat tell me if you think you were close to 147? Just out of interest, anyone think they were close to 147? I tell you what I think about Bitcoin. Well, I tell you what, Bitcoin. Someone mentioned about Bitcoin. Interesting enough. I mean, Bitcoin's coming off from the back of the strong dollar at the moment. Of course, you know, Bitcoin's been flying higher on the back of a weaker dollar. But I saw a very interesting article or interview on Bloomberg this week. I don't know if anyone saw it. And it was basically from a guy called Saylor, who was talking about Bitcoin going into, you go with Bitcoin going to 1 million before it goes to 0. And he put up some good reasons for it, basically, just on the on the fundamentals. You got the U.S. administration that's all behind Bitcoin. You got the central banks now getting involved, or you got the big hedge funds getting involved in Bitcoin. You got the ETFs getting involved in Bitcoin. All these naysayers are saying it's a flawed currency and all that. That's all gone. We've had all that. We've had all those shakeups. We went from 0 to $20 and then back down to 5, and then from 5 up to 30, and then back down to 20, and then we had 20 up to 100, and then back down again, and now we're up at 110. And all those big shakeups about the flawed sort of policy, flawed concept of crypto is gone. And when you see all the sort of the hedge funds and the investment houses getting into it and establishing it as a real asset class, I think that's fundamentally good. So I think it is obviously subjective to where the US dollar is going. But when you see the dollar, which we all thought was the really stable sort of number one world currency, when you see that with a 13% decline in 6 months, it's not as stable as it used to be. I don't know. I think Bitcoin, trades higher. Now, in terms of the technicals at the moment, well, I think obviously we're under a little bit of pressure at the moment. I would look left to see my support zone, and I think this is why the technicals are so important. Yeah, the reason why we rolled off it there is because we rolled off it there, and the reason why we bounced up through it and then came back to that is because of that. This is again, that's the basic boomerang, the boomerang setup right there. That's why we bounced off it there and hit on. Okay, we're retesting that now. So I would be looking to see whether we hold this zone here to sort of 108,600. If it does hold, well, my target is going to be up here, and my profit and my stops will be going to be below, maybe, below 105. The 105,000 was the low that led to the high. So your stops below there. And where can you target to the upside? Well, there's no what's that? It's about 3.5% drop for Bitcoin. It's nothing. So for me, this is really, I'm not trading this, but this would be my sort of bias if I had to, held a gun to my head. Now that is really where my bias would be. Okay, got a couple of winners coming in. For the nearest the pin. Okay, so we've got better not copy your email. Just typing them in now, and then you can see the winners. So congratulations to boom. There we go. Not that one. How about that one? So we've got George came in at 156,000. Well done for you. And look at Kennedy. Kennedy there called 145,000. So congratulations to George. I think I've seen you before. Congratulations to George. And congratulations to Kennedy, just 2 out. I'll tell you something. I've been doing this competition even before I was head of trading here at FTP. I've been doing this competition for quite a few years, and over the years, I've only had one winner bang on the money. And some of my YouTube NFPs were getting like 500-600 sort of people watching every time, and we only had one winner on the money. Anyway, George got 156 and 147. Kennedy was very, very close. So congratulations to you winners out there. Now, in 5 minutes' time, we are going to give out 2 random winners. So 2 random winners of $12,500. That goes out as well. So both George and Kennedy get a $12,500 assessment account. We'll email you that. So keep an eye on your email, and we'll get you set up and hopefully trading your way. Treat it seriously. This is real money. It can be real money. When I say real money, obviously it's a simulated environment, but you pass the assessment, you're trading. The profits you make are yours to keep, minus the split, of course. So you've got to treat it real. And the other thing about, we've seen some traders in our data set that are really good, and what they're doing is scaling up. So you might think $12,500. Well, if you're serious about trading, it's all about time. You shouldn't be doing this overnight. You can scale that up 25. By the end of the year, you could be on $100,000 account if you're doing this right. So you can scale up these accounts. Of course, you can take profits if you wish as well. But I encourage, obviously, to people to think in sort of in the long run, as it were. So there you have it. Congratulations. I say in about 5 minutes' time, I'll give out another 12,500 times 2 for the random selection. Someone mentioned oil. Okay, oil. I mean, it does when you talk about technicals. Why technicals are so important. Okay, so oil was trading up here at 75.75. Okay, basically, last Friday. Okay, and then we had the fundamentals that have driven this down, as you may or may not know, down to the Middle East, peace ceasefires, and so forth. So oil goes into a rapid free fall. Yeah, and where does that free fall stall? This is why, you can use your MACDs and your Bollinger Bands and your RSIs and your CCIs, but where is the liquidity that took this higher? Well, just look back left. Had you not seen this, you'd have been, if you've been playing support and resistance accurately, and this is why I encourage everyone to do this ahead of the week on a Sunday, you'd have had your levels in here. Just think about what's happening. We bounced off it. Big pin there. Bounced off it a number of times here. Then we broke through. Came back down to retest. Old resistance, act as support. And then boom, off we went to the upside. This type of movement is not just driven by us on our MT5 platforms. This type of movement is driven by large institutions, by, big players, big hedge funds, big businesses that are hedging their oil energy exposure. This is basically where they started buying. Okay, and then you go into free fall. Where does that free fall stop? Exactly where it began. So had you been selling here, where would I have been taking profits? Well, you've been taking profits exactly where everyone else was taking profits, and that's why we've now broken into consolidation around that zone. This little pin bar test here, indication you want to trade higher. Oil is now within this trading range. Okay, and there's there is in fact a reason to consider this zone here as a break of structure. If we pull back to this zone, I would expect it to hold. For me, my trade in oil, just following the sort of same idea of all my trading, would be a buy there, stops below, and you can target there, higher time frame. You get 2.5 to 1 risk reward on that. Okay, it's basically a break of structure to the long side reversal, boomerang reversal. It's not quite well, is it? You pull back. Yeah, it is. That is a break of structure there. So getting long oil around 25, 65, 25. Profit potential up to 71. Stops below here on the technicals. Don't just hop into gold buys. Wait for confirmation before taking on the buys. Absolutely. Anything? Oops, Daisy, didn't mean to click that one on. Anything anyone wants me to look at? Let me know, and we'll take a look. What's going on in the UK FTSE? I do tend to have obviously I'm living in the UK, so I tend to like to get involved in the FTSE to a certain extent. FTSE. Okay, FTSE's coming in. Not really much going on there, is it? We've just broken through resistance. Obviously, this was. Did anyone watch UK Question Time yesterday? No one knows what I'm talking about if you're not in the UK. But this big move yesterday in the FTSE and in bond yields, UK bond yields, gilt yields, and the sterling. You know, this is the sterling. This white line is sterling. That's the British pound. So DXY is shooting higher. So the UK FTSE, pound and bonds were all moving rapidly because of the Chancellor, the Finance Minister of the UK, had a few tears at the Question Time because she was deemed to be upset and they thought that her job was at risk. And they thought that her tight fiscal control, she's going to leave her job. Someone else is going to come in, not so tight. Sterling went through the floor. Bond yields went flying higher because that basically means they need to issue more bonds and up goes the yields. And the FTSE dumped as well, all because she was shedding a few tears in the Houses of Commons. Talk about fundamentals. Who would know? I was watching it live as well, and I didn't even think about that. I mean, I did think to myself, oh yeah, she doesn't look very happy. But then all the pound denominated markets started getting affected by the fact that she was having a few tears. What's my favourite pair? I tell you what, I'm not a. Although I look at this momentum meter as part of my sort of daily analysis, I don't trade all 28 different currency pairs. Okay. I tend to focus on the majors. So the majors are obviously denominated with the US dollar on one side, but I think it's good to have maybe a euro and a commodity currency. So you might have the euro and the Oz, or the euro and the CAD. I'm not a big fan of the New Zealand dollar ever, to be honest, personally, only because in my day, it's a bit different now with liquidity, but in my day, liquidity used to be an issue, so I just have bad sort of experiences with New Zealand. No reason apart from bad experiences. But the euro against the CAD, euro against the Aussie is good, and something against the Japanese yen as well. So you can have a pound against the Japanese yen. So really, you've got the six majors, and you've got pound yen, euro CAD, euro Oz, and I think that really is all you need. I think if you can't make money out of those, then you must probably maybe doing something wrong. Canadian dollars, this purple line. So obviously the Canadian dollar. We didn't have Canadian numbers out today, did we? I think we did. I don't think we did. Yeah. Okay. Right. Okay. Let's have some random prizes, please. Back team. Let's have some random prizes, and we'll get those put out. So for 2 random winners, just for showing up today. Thank you for turning up. Okay. Thank you for making an effort. Hopefully you enjoy these events. Tell your friends about them. Tell your friends, and make sure you try and sign up for the next for the YouTube channel, of course. Then you get notified the next one. I think we're doing ECB next week. I think we're doing ECB next week. So you have to check the schedule. That will be there on the channel. Okay, so we've got 2 lucky winners coming in now. Just popping them in here it is. So thanks for turning up. The 2 winners of the $12,500 assessment account for this month are basically going to be Pavlo V and Christopher Massilio. I think there you go. Pavlo V. Maybe that's I should edit that with some dots or so to make it a little bit clearer. So Pavlo V and Christopher Massilio, congratulations to you. You have been selected as the 2 lucky winners of $12,500 in our assessments. Treat it seriously, as I say. You can scale it up You've got no time limits, so there's no rush. Make sure you treat it seriously. Serious traders are not trying to make a fast buck in a day. They're obviously here for the long haul. Don't think about one trade as being the most important trade. That one trade you're in at the moment, quite frankly, is irrelevant. Trading is about the law of large numbers, I call it. The more you trade, the more the probability plays out over time. I see so many traders watching their phones every 5 minutes to see how their trades are doing. That's not trading, that's gambling. That's one of the reasons, as someone said, what's the difference between gambling and trading? Well, people are checking their phones every 5 minutes that their trading positions are gambling because they're so much involved in one trade and they love the excitement of it going up and down. Manoj, I've spent about 5 minutes talking about Bitcoin, so I'm not going to talk about that again. I don't know if you're listening in or not. But that's you can always watch it on catch up. So yeah, congratulations to those winners. We'll also award another $12,500 account to the most actively traded, the most actively community member here. So that is going to go to. So thank you all for getting involved. And the active one going to who? It's just coming up on the screen. I haven't been watching it all, but it's going to come up on my screen in a moment. And then I'll post it here, and then we'll call it a day. I don't think markets are doing very much at the moment. Obviously, gold's under pressure. Stocks are doing well. Dollar's going to do well, and mostly does continue to do well. It's most probably a time now where, if you're looking to get involved in the currency markets, you mostly want to think about getting involved in the dollar pullback. There must be some breaks of structure going on, and dollar moves at the moment. So that's maybe the trade. And of course, if you're buying dollar, then you want to sell a weaker currency against it. Well, the yen at the moment is one of the weaker currencies. So you maybe got something to look at in the dollar yen. Let's have a look. Dollar yen. Anything going on there? Well, again, if you don't have a strategy, then you're flying blind. If you follow me and you're only looking for reversals and you've done what I've said and you plot in your levels at the beginning of the week on a Sunday, you've got a level in there. Yeah, we don't know because of this low here. Okay, that's where the whole move from up to 148 started, from 143, 500 pip move. This is your level, crudely drawn, but it's basically there. Well, you've got two reasons to enter here. In fact, there's two strategies that I teach on reversals. One is called the naked trading strategy. Some of you may have seen that over the years that I've been talking about this. You can also find me on the YouTube talking about the strategy naked. You've got this bullish pin bar at the support. That is a naked setup right there. Okay, so you're breaking the highs of that pin. Stops below the pin, trading higher to the next resistance. That's a classic setup for anyone that's following that strategy. And if you're following the boomerang strategy and you've got that level drawn in, well, boomerang strategy looks for the low, pulls back. We're in a downtrend. Downtrend continues. That low fails to take out the previous low. That there is your break of structure. If you're following the boomerang reversal, and for those of you that are my private students, and you're listening to me now, and we have our next meeting, whenever that is, I'll ask you why you're not in this trade if you're not in it already. You should be in this trade. And you should be sitting on some nice, healthy gains now. You should have had your stops in there for that trade. So there you have it. Break of structure, indeed. BOS, my BOS. I've been trading breaks of structure for forever. Yeah, watch the space on Monday. I need to check the calendar and check the back office team what we're up to. UJ is really safe to trade, guys. Is it? I know it's always safe. Risk reward more than 1-to-1. Really, I'm not. Risk reward's a funny one, right? And I'm not one to believe you could read about risk reward in a book. Because I have been trading a long time, and I know my own personality. And I'm not very good at sticking out for 10-1 risk reward. Okay. The reason why I'm not very good is because when you're looking for a 10-1 or 7-1 or 8-1, you are taking so many losses. And I am not really comfortable taking lots of losses as we go. I'd rather bank profits, get out and move on. I'm a firm believer of an edge that I have anyway, and I'm a firm believer of letting that edge play out over a number of trades. But I'm not a firm believer. I don't feel comfortable taking loss, waiting for that 8-1 winner. I just haven't got that personality. That's why you have to factor it in. So whatever strategy you take, and I don't believe any one that says that you need to take 5-1 minimum. It depends on your personality. But there you have it. Okay, so the most active trader, most active winner in the chat today is going to be. It's just coming off my screen now, and I don't know how accurate this is, but it's not debatable. Let me just change the winner there. So the most active in the chat today, thank you for that, goes to, not that one. It goes to Manoj. There you go. Manoj, congratulations. You have just won yourself a $12,500 assessment account just for getting involved and having a bit of fun and talking to the community and me, of course. So well done to you. Well done. I, of course, have not been watching the whole chat, but it does seem to be well deserved. So thank you, my team behind the scenes that are making all that work for us. Manoj, you can thank me, but I didn't select. I do have a great team behind me that's doing all this, really. But yes, I think you definitely deserved it. So well done, Manoj. Congratulations. We'll email you if you've given us the correct email address. I think you would have done. Then congratulations. Okay, guys, I'll leave that there now. We're just into the hour, coming up to the hour. So I'll leave that there now. Just keep an eye on the dollar. Dollar looks as though it might trade stronger over the coming hours. Okay, which basically means you can see this pound dollar. It's holding our level. It's holding our technical level. You do need to see a break of this level to confirm. If it does break, then I think you can target sort of 135 in the pound. And of course, if you're targeting 135 and you've got your stops below the swing high that leads to that break, then you've basically got a decent risk reward trade. Again, do not trade this. Remember my disclaimer: your stops are going to be below the swing low. Targeting down there, you get about 1.5 to 1 on that trade there if you see this break here. And that's the dollar strength in general. But again, if you're trading the dollar strength, then you might want to look at the weaker currencies. Pound at the moment is trading strong with it. So because you see this white line trading up and the green line trading up, buying the dollar against the pound isn't necessarily the best trade. The best trade at the moment would be buying the dollar against the Japanese yen, or indeed the Swiss yen, the Swiss franc, I should say. Dollar Swiss, that is most probably one that you look at as well. So this is going to be the what's that? That's the DXY, but dollar Swiss, which is going to be where's the dollar Swiss? Have I lost him? Who's been messing with these? There you go. Right. Well, that tells you the same picture. I just need to drill out for the 4 hour for the daily, because it's the daily where I have my resistances. Because I am seeing a naked boomerang reversal, but it's not at a significant level. But it is a reversal pattern on the 4 hour chart, and you can see we're in a downtrend. We're making lower lows and lower highs, lower lows. This is the same as the yen. Yeah, it's a bit like the yen. Lower lows, pulls back. This low fails to take out the previous low. So that is your reversal right there. And this one, you most probably can get not a bad little setup on it if you're interested in trading my stuff. 3-1. Thanks, guys. I'll see you very soon. Thanks for all for showing up, and congratulations to all our winners. Well deserved today as well. Thanks, guys. Have a good one.